Alright, today is September 30th, 2015, and I'm doing a part 2 video for today. We've got that Hurricane Joaquin over in the Atlantic, which has just now become a Category 3 storm with 115 mile per hour winds. I wanted to talk about that a little bit because one of the things that's happening is if you've been following my videos the last few weeks and so on, you'll know that the people that are controlling these weather systems can do anything they want at will. And one of the things we saw yesterday and the day before was a very strong high pressure right here, which is still here, and we can see what effect that is having on the leading edge of this storm right here. It is preventing any northbound movement of Joaquin, which is now still forecast to move up into Virginia and Maryland and up towards the northeast. But watch what's happening here. We have we can see these blast waves. We can see water vapor being shot out into the right out here against the flow. We've got a high pressure flow right here that's coming at this hurricane. We've got a look what's happening up over here. First of all, that spinning low has really gained momentum just in the last day. I wasn't even paying attention to this, but there was a transmitter parked over the top of a sort of a dormant spinning low pressure up here, and what's happened now in the last day is this has begun to spin up, and I just now was looking at that. But getting back over here, Joaquin is being hit by a microwave transmitter. We can see the blast waves all through this, particularly on the very first frame. We can see water vapor shooting out against this general flow to the south, and that's why this hurricane right now is actually moving to the south-southwest. According to the National Hurricane Center's own information, this hurricane today was moving to the south-southwest, and that is because of all this high pressure that's being generated with a HAARP transmitter right here. And we can see that very clearly. We can see the effect it's having on the leading edge of that storm, and we can also see the microwave blasts being applied to the core, which is generating shock waves and blast waves right here. And if you saw yesterday's video and the day before, same thing. They were hitting this storm, and they were keeping it parked in place, just like what they're doing right now, until this other system moved up and out of the way, which it is beginning to do. We had a lot of rain up in Maine. I think there was 9 inches of rain in Maine. They just reported on TV, and so they've kept this thing parked, and now they're going to apparently let this thing move north. So now this is interesting because they've had the capability to keep this storm right here, essentially moving towards Cuba, right down over here to the southwest. And now we're being told that this storm is now going to move north towards the northeast, the east coast up here. So that'll be interesting to see if that actually happens, and if they allow this dangerous Category 3, or rather, well, what did I say it was, a Category 2? It's got 115 mile per hour winds. Let's go take a quick look and make sure we, let's go over here real quick. Okay, Category 3, it's right on the brink, 115 mile per hour winds. We'll come back to this map in a minute, but I just want to make a point that this storm here is being hit with microwave. It's also being stalled by this HAARP transmitter right here. Now, if this storm is suddenly allowed to move north and do some damage on the east coast, you're going to know that that was allowed to happen. You heard it here. Maybe you heard it first right here. But they have this storm parked right now, and they can kill it if they want to. We watched all the hurricanes out in the East Pacific killed off before they hit Hawaii. They'd steer them around Hawaii and everything. I was amazed. Everybody is amazed at the wizardry of these people and how they run these transmitters and what they can do. So now if they're going to allow this storm to run right into the East Coast, that'll be a sight to see, and we'll know that that was deliberate because they have the power to stop these storms, and we've seen that over and over. All right, let's look at this in the the infrared loop right here. We can see some flashes occurring right in the middle of that core right there, that spinning core. That could be the eye wall. It's not very well defined. It moves around, it jumps around, but that must be the eye wall. However, this storm is producing a lot of shock waves from the blast that it's getting from the microwaves. We can see that. Let's go back again. For anybody that's not watched these videos, there's we see a blast pattern there on the very first frame. This is not a terrific example tonight, but we do see a very large shock wave out to the side here. Alright, let's look at this again over in the visible light mode. And of course they have an overlay right over the top of this hurricane, so we can't see the dimples that are generated when the microwave hits the core. They've got a fluorescent overlay tonight on pretty much all of that entire loop. It looks like a piece of gauze laid right over the top of the hurricane, so we can't see what's actually happening. Alright, so that's okay. We know what they're up to, and then we can see the blast waves right around the periphery of the storm. Alright, so let's go back now and look at the west coast. What's happening here? We've got a new disturbance right here. This has an 80% chance, I believe now. Let's go look at that carefully in the Eastern Pacific. We got a 70% chance of hurricane formation in 2 days, right here. So what's happening is that they've built in high pressure right here. This just happened not even a day and a half. We've seen this. This is built in, artificial high pressure built in right there. That will block this disturbance from merging with this entire flow, which is moving right into California. They're going to keep this weather out of this flow moving into California. And likewise, this barrier here, this is a high pressure wall that's been built. That is going to keep this storm from merging with this onshore flow right into California. So we've got opportunities for rain on both sides of this flow. This is just a big chemtrail parade right here. This is all chemtrails, and there's no rain being allowed to fall in California all throughout this entire field of moisture is completely saturated with chemtrails, and that's why there's no rain. Now, this is interesting. We've got all this here and all this here, and that's going to keep this flow from picking up any of the moisture from here or anything from happening here. So that's basically the update. We've got a HAARP transmitter right here. To break this down further, let's go look at the pressure map right there. This is the surface analysis map. You can see that this now has a core pressure of 989 millibar. This is the storm that we were just looking at with a HAARP transmitter on it. And they're forecasting something to move over, this storm to move over and then come down through the middle of California. But I'll have to see that to believe it. They've been killing these off systematically, and apparently they're going to let a Category 3 hurricane move up the coast and go into Virginia or someplace up there. So they've killed off every hurricane and not allowed any rain in California, but yet they're going to allow a Category 3 is now forecast to move up into the northeast. So that's what I just heard on television, so we'll have to watch that. Alright, here is the let's get this set up. Okay, that low pressure we were just looking at is generating 30-foot seas right here in the core. It's a very powerful system, and that will be generating some surf, some very high swells out there. I just wanted to show this just to give you an idea of how powerful that is. And that's just the top, that's the average of the top 1/3 swell heights, so that some of them are even taller than that. Alright, so let's go back. This is the infrared loop for the East Pacific. We can see all this rain here, and we got high pressure in here. and we've got high pressure all through here to block this new disturbance and to keep this completely isolated. They're actually cutting off the flow here. We can see that if we go back here to the rainbow, or rather the water vapor loop, we can see that this is actually being cut off. This high pressure is so strong now that it's just going to cut this off, and that'll be the end of it. Alright, so that's the update, and we'll go ahead and do another one tomorrow.